right. Good evening. Can everyone hear me? Working? Okay. Welcome to this year's Academic Honors Convocation. I just want to remind everyone that afterwards there's a reception on the lawn right outside and we'll have some refreshments. Okay? So to begin with, I'd like to introduce GSW President Dr. Kendall Blanchard.
Let me reiterate that welcome, especially to those of you who are here to be honored tonight. Obviously, this is what we are all about. And those of you who have succeeded in the classroom have really made a statement about what is best, not only about Georgia Southwestern, but higher education in general. So again, we're pleased that all of you are here. Those of you who are here to honor our awardees, we thank you for being here. And you can join us in congratulating them and feeling good about what we do here at Georgia Southwestern. So again, welcome.
Good evening, and let me add my welcome to Dr. Blanchard's welcome. You might notice that I don't look a lot like Dr. Adler, who sadly couldn't be here this evening. He is not well, and he wanted to be here. I know he called me earlier today saying, I can come in, and I said, don't you dare come infect all of our best and brightest right before finals week. So I insisted, I called on my doctor status to let him know that he was not allowed to come to class today. So Dr. Adler will not be here, but my name is Helen Tate, and I am the Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs, and I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to step into this role for him tonight, because this is a night when we get to pause and recognize your excellence. We're all very busy. I know our faculty are busy writing exams, very difficult exams for finals week, and grading your final projects. And I'm sure many of you have been studying and writing papers, and you probably have a test tomorrow. But we stop for a minute to recognize your excellence, because it really is what we value at GSW, is excellence. And so tonight we pause to say congratulations, and we're very proud of you. And I also want to add that we're very pleased to see so many parents here this evening, and I want to thank them all for what you do to help your students be successful. We know that they have support systems in their families and their friends, and thank you for being there for them so that they can accomplish what they came here to do, and that is to get an excellent education. And I do know that they've been put through the rigors of that excellent education with our excellent faculty. So thank you for being here, and thank you for all you do for our students. I have the pleasure this evening of recognizing our honor societies. So I would like the students from these honor societies to stand up when I call your honor society, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what they've had to do to be recognized for this excellence. So the first group is the Alpha Kappa Delta Honor Society. Students? They're studying. I know they're in the library. We should have held this in the library, shouldn't we? I do believe they must be studying. Let me tell you a little bit about the Alpha Kappa Delta. This is the Alpha Kappa Delta International Sociology Honor Society, and it's open to students who've taken 60 credit hours, including at least 12 hours in sociology. And these students must maintain an overall grade point average of 3.3 and a 3.0 in sociology. So let's give them a round of applause that they can hear in the library. The next honor society I would like to recognize is Alpha Lambda Delta. Standing up. Oh, I got a waiver in the back. Yay. This is, maybe they haven't found this building yet, because these are our freshmen. And I'm so proud of our freshmen here, because this honor society is for freshmen only. They've completed 12 or more hours during their first semester with a 3.5 GPA or higher. Now, we all know that the transition to college can be difficult, and not every student comes and excels that first semester. So I just really want to give them a round of applause for what they've accomplished in their first year. Our next group is Beta Gamma Sigma. Yay! We have some students. I'm so glad. Thank you, because I was starting to wonder if I was at the right ceremony, so thank you. All right, our Beta Gamma Sigma students. The Beta Gamma Sigma is the International Honor Society for business programs accredited by AACSB International, which means that they're among the very best students in the country in the area of business. Membership in this society is the highest recognition offered by our accredited program in business. To be eligible, these students must be enrolled in the business program and be in the upper 10% of the junior or senior class. So congratulations to Beta Gamma Sigma. Pi Alpha Theta. Do we have Pi Alpha Theta in the house? Studying. The business students are all online, right? So you don't have to study in the library. No? All right, so Pi Alpha Theta. Pi Alpha Theta recognizes students who complete at least 12 semester hours in history with a GPA of a 3.1 at least and a 3.0 overall. They also must be in the top 35% of their class. So let's give them a round of applause as well. The next honor society we will be recognizing is Pi Sigma Alpha. Pi Sigma Alpha, very good, I'm so glad. Yay, you're here. Membership in Pi Sigma Alpha is open to undergraduate students who've completed 60 hours or more with at least 10 semester hours in political science, and including at least one upper division course. These students have to maintain a 3.0 grade point average in both political science and overall, and they must be in the upper third of their class. So congratulations to Pi Sigma Alpha. The next group is Psi Chi National Honor Society in Psychology. Are they just trying to play with my mind? Are they? All right, I guess not. All right. Psi Chi National Honor Society in Psychology. These members must be junior or senior standing, and they must be in the top 35% of their class. They also must have an overall GPA of 3.0 or higher and a 3.0 in their major. So congratulations to the Psi Chi National Honor Society students as well. The next group that I have the honor of recognizing is a very special group of folks because they scored the perfect score last semester. These students are on the president's list, which means that they earned a perfect 4.0 in the fall semester 2012. Would those students please stand? Congratulations to you. I know you worked very hard for those grades, and we recognize your achievement, and we're very proud of you. Those are the honor societies and the president's list that I get to introduce to you. I also want to just add that we will be doing pictures of the groups right after the ceremony and before your cake. So if those groups could stay here so we could take some pictures of you, I would appreciate that. They will also be taking a few photos as we do awards, but we would like to do some group photos as well. So please stay after the ceremony and get your picture taken so that we can show you off to the wider community and all those folks that are still at the library. All right, the next thing we get to do are the department awards. And so I will turn the podium over for department awards.
I get to be first because I'm the department chair of the visual arts department. And one year I was last as visual arts, and this year I'm first up for art, so it's good. So good evening. It is my pleasure again to present the Most Outstanding Art Student of the Year Award. This honor is bestowed upon a student who consistently demonstrates excellence in studio and academic work within the Department of Visual Arts. Since we are makers of wonderful objects, we have developed the tradition of presenting our award winners with large, heavy trophies made by their classmates. So the trophy is over there. This year's trophy was created in clay by one of our recent graduates, Sam Henley, and in a moment I will ask Sam to help me present the award. This year's award goes to a young man who clearly exceeds our criteria for excellence. Justin Hodges, a native of Albany, Georgia, came here from Darton College in 2009, and he graduated from GSW with a BFA in photography last semester. During his time here, Justin not only expanded his passion for photography, but excelled in all of the other studio areas and in art history. Justin's curiosity and deep concern for social action, as well as a desire to use his art to communicate with those people who rarely come to galleries, certainly stems from his warm and caring family. His parents certainly must share in this award for their strong support and nurturance of their son. Justin's work has already been exhibited on the streets and galleries here in Albany and has touched a wide variety of viewers. He joins the very select group of art students that our faculty would not only like to clone, but really hate to see graduate. He is one of those students who reminds us why we love to teach by working hard, asking probing questions, and then creating thoughtful art. Justin has recently been accepted into 2 nationally recognized master's programs and was the top pick at the University of Cincinnati, where he has accepted admission and received an assistantship. We all wish Justin great success as he pursues his MFA and look forward to seeing the next stage of his work. And I would now like to ask Sam to come up and help me out. And please join me in a round of applause for our Outstanding Art Student of the Year, Justin Hodges.
The Department of Biology is pleased that we're able to offer a outstanding biology student recognition this semester. The award winner is Ms. Abigail Hamlin. She is a senior biology student. She will graduate, I guess, in December. She's got some summer classes to take, but she's an outstanding biology student. She's managed to maintain better than a 3.75 grade point average, which is unusual in biology, and she's hoping to stay here and go to nursing school, so we hope we get to keep her for a little longer. Abby?
The Department of Chemistry is pleased to announce the Exceptional Academic Performance Award in Chemistry to 3 of our students. I wish I can speak about numbers and tell you how great these students are in terms of numbers, but that's not why I'm here. The first award goes to Stephen Moore. There's a lot more to Stephen than just a number, than just a GPA. He's the student that stayed behind me while I was driving the van on the way back from Nicaragua, and everybody was asleep. He helped me a lot, believe me. He's the student that came together with Kinsey, who is the other student that I'm going to present in a minute, to represent the chemistry club when everybody just phased out and just disappeared out of the face of the earth. Something happened, and these two actually came. I can keep giving you examples like that, but these are the really outstanding people. So, Stephen, I think that you have a great future in the career, whatever you choose. And I know that you probably don't think about chemistry, but here is the Merck index to you, in case you decide to stay chemistry instead of medical school, and that will be a very, very useful reference on your desk. So please help me to thank Steven. The second award goes to Kinsey Powell. I already told you about her. Well, I was worried about this too, that they actually showed up today, because 50 minutes before the show started, we were still in lab, so we're still not wearing our lab coats, but she's working at the moment on publication that's on the manuscript. I hope it will become publication soon, and I think that's really, really outstanding what you did. So there's no way for me to thank you for doing all this, and I'm really glad that you're performing so well in all my classes. Kinsey, I think that you'll be a great optometrist one day, so, but in case you decide to stay in chemistry, there's a Merck index for you too. And of course, there's a certificate. The last but not least, Smith Patel. Smith actually is going to leave us because he's accepted into pharmacy school, and that's how we lose our brightest students. They go to graduate school, and then we have problems with retention. We don't have that many students then. But he's probably the hardest worker that I've ever seen in my labs and classes. And yes, all three of you are at the top of the chemistry department, GPA-wise at the moment. And I believe it's not just GPA, it's all the hard work, you have it inside you guys. So please, everybody help me thank and welcome Smith. And there's a Merck in this for you too. Thank you.
Good evening. Outstanding Computer Science Student Award is going to Yufeng Zhou. Yufeng Zhou is computer science student from China. He is in 1+2+1 program. It means that a student 1 year study at home university in China, 2 years at GSW, and 1 year again at home university. In the short period of time, Yufeng accomplished a lot. He is one of the best computer science students. He actively participated in community events and provide service to students as a lab assistant in Learning Skills Center and School of Computing and Mathematics. But the main his achievement is programming projects. Currently, he is working on mobile application, which allows students to set up appointments with advisor via cell phone. It is not just an ordinary call to the advisor. Yufeng developed a special interface which allows a student to see advisor registration schedule and find empty slots available for registration. The advisor can see all requests for registration and also can close some time slots when he or she busy. The application saves advisor and students information in database, and this information available anytime from the advisor or student's cell phones. Dr. Baev is a UFN academic advisor as well as a project advisor. I hope that we will able to use this application which make process of advisement more efficient. Please welcome UFN Joe.
Good evening. I am pleased to tell you that all of the people I'm recognizing tonight are continuing students. They are all going to still be with us, so we're excited about their potential in the future. Our first scholarship recipient is Lauren Collier, and Lauren is a recipient of the Agnes E. Adgerton Scholarship. This scholarship goes to someone who is maintaining a full class load, full-time student status, someone who has finished 20 hours in English and who has maintained a 3.0 in English classes. So I'm very pleased to recognize Ms. Lauren Collier. If she will come up, I will give her certificate. Our next two scholarship recipients are recipients of the same scholarship, the Iris Stewart Argo Scholarship. Dr. Argo was the chair of the English department for quite a while. The scholarship is in memory of her. She is both an alumna and she was professor at GSW for over 30 years. The same kind of qualifications are in place for this scholarship, except students do not have to maintain full-time student status. But just as a refresher, they have to have finished 20 hours in English in upper division, and they have to maintain a 3.0 in those English courses. Our Iris Stewart Argo Scholarship recipients are Miss Ashley Bratcher and Miss Jody Spence. Y'all both come up at the same time. Our next three scholarship recipients are from a special student group at GSW, one that is growing in numbers and in some really exciting ways. All of these students are non-traditional students. So what that means is they've gone off and tried something else and decided to come back because they want to redirect, finish undone business, whatever. The J. Fred Power Scholarship is one that recognizes a former professor, Mr. Power, who was a learning support professor here for a number of years. I'm going to call you guys up one at a time. Mr. Ryan Walker is our first recipient. Miss Cynthia Johnson. And Miss Stephanie Williams. I'll get this to Stephanie. Our final scholarship is a new one for us. So this is the first annual Hans Bertesky Scholarship. This is a scholarship that recognizes a student in English who is particularly active in extracurricular activities, particularly Scirocco activities. There are academic regulations as well, but this one really awards the student who is showing a great deal of potential in those extracurricular things. And our recipient this year is Miss Allison McCarter.
Mathematics is delighted to be able to offer the Outstanding Student Award to 2 of its students this term. They kind of break the mold for mathematicians. You know, mathematics people are thought of as being one-dimensional, or at best planar, which means flat. Well, these guys have multiple dimensions, and they're very nice people as well, and I'm going to bring them up one at a time in alphabetical order. The first is Kevin Fearling. Kevin's middle name is Anthony. I don't think anybody else but his family knows that. I certainly didn't. He's a delightful student. He's talented in mathematics and computer science and physics, and he'd be delighted to talk to you about any of those subjects. What's really important about Kevin is, though, that he laughs at my jokes in class, and I think that's super. Congratulations. Our next award goes to Mark Watford. Mark is, come on up. Mark is Mark's middle name. His first name is John, but I don't think anybody other than his family knows that. Mark's dimensions are also across the board. He's interested in mathematics and does very well at that. He's also a musician. He plays the piano, the organ, and he sings. I tried to get him to sing the quadratic formula in class, but he said no, he wouldn't do that. So I'm not really certain. Congratulations.
I would like to present 2 awards to outstanding nursing students at the junior level. This means that this has been their first year of clinical experience, and they are outstanding because they have excelled academically as well as clinically. We've had reports from various hospitals and nurses that have seen them work and said, boy, those 2 are going to be really good nurses. So that deserves an award right there if they've got the stamp of another nurse's approval on them. Our first award goes to Judy Fajardo. She is a traditional student, and this means that she is earning her first degree. And we're lucky that she chose to do it in nursing. Our second award goes to an outstanding student performance for a nurse who already has a degree and is back as a second degree nursing student. And this is Ms. Maureen Green. And we're proud that she wanted to come back and be a nurse and not pursue that first degree.
Good evening. My name is Catalina Casaru, for those of you who wonder for the last 30 minutes how to pronounce my last name. I'm a new professor in exercise science and wellness, and tonight we're going to recognize not only the smartest and brightest, but also people who took the lead in the classroom and outside the classroom as well. First, nominated tonight is Molly McGowan. Where's Molly? Here she is. Molly is not only an excellent student, but also she is an outstanding athlete. Come on. She was accepted this year to 2 prestigious physical therapy programs in the country, such as Armstrong University and MCG. So she chose MCG University for her physical therapy next step in her career. So we're very proud of her. We wish her good luck and hope she's going to make us proud. So my next student, I forgot to mention that the award is in the name of Dr. Richard Whittlewaller, who is a former professor of exercise science and wellness here at GSW. So my next student, who is recognized for his outstanding performance in the classroom and outside the classroom, is Tyler Hunter. Just a few words about Tyler. Tyler tackled the hardest classes. He was not pleased with register for biology 1107, which is the first step. He took the hardest classes. This year, he's going to graduate from GSW, and he has a few opportunities to go to grad school or to wait and actually apply for PT school. What I want to mention about Tyler is that he has very high analytical skills. He helped me put together some research project this year. He's also a full-time student working more than 30, 40 hours a week. So he's dedicated a lot of time to this program, and I think hard work should be rewarded.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to recognize students from the School of Business Administration. And we have, every year for the last 3 years, we have recognized both an internal and an external student with the highest GPA. And the reason we do this is our student body in the School of Business is divided about 50-50 with students that are here on campus, and then we also have a very robust group of students that take classes totally online. Most of those students work full-time and have families, and so we're very proud of those students as well for maintaining their high GPAs. The first student I want to recognize tonight is a marketing major who began his studies here at Georgia Southwestern in 2009. He has a cumulative GPA of 3.94, and if you ever met him, you would know he is a marketing major. I have told him he's going to be a salesman. He can sell ice to Eskimos. He is that kind of guy, and if you're walking across campus and he has met you once, he will say hello to you and call you by name. I want to bring up Hung Yu Chen. Our external student has a 4.0 in accounting. She is an accounting major, as I said, who previously received an associate's degree from Darton College, where she also maintained a 4.0. Ms. Robinson, is she here? Is Dana Pierce here? We weren't sure whether she was coming. Dana works full-time in Albany, and we weren't sure if she was going to be able to be here tonight, but we're still very proud of her. So if you would, please give her a round of applause. Every year, the Georgia Society of Certified Public Accountants provides a stipend and recognition to the graduating accounting student with the highest GPA. This year it's going to Brian Colazar. Brian is a second-degree student who has a 4.0 GPA since enrolling here. He has already earned a Bachelor of Arts degree from Penn State University. One of the things that Brian has done that makes us really hate to see him go is he has served as the tutor both online and on campus for our introductory accounting classes and has made a world of difference with those students. So Brian, we appreciate that and want to recognize you tonight. Steve looks like an accountant. The James Daraso Scholarship recognizes business students who maintain at least a 3.0 GPA and who are also either active on campus or are working full-time. And this is Mrs. Betty Pope and her family have funded the scholarship, and she is always very proud of her students, as are we. And so I'm going to call your names, and if you would please come up. Thank you. It's my able assistant. As I call your names, and I will present you with your certificate. Hannah Bass is a human resources major from Sylvester, Georgia. Hannah works 2 jobs and commutes. She works both in Albany and in Sylvester and still makes that drive 3 days a week. Sometimes 4 days a week. Hannah Frazier is a management major from Americas. Hannah was recently inducted into Beta Gamma Sigma, and so we're very proud of her. Matthew Eric Haygood. Eric is a management major from Forsyth. Eric is a soccer player, and he is also a Fabio imitator. There's actually a story behind his hair. It has to do with the soccer team, so I let him off the hook with that. Stephen Kyle Heath. Kyle is an accounting major from Americas. He is a non-traditional student in that he was in school several years ago, began a family, stopped for a while. He now has twin daughters, and as I learned last week, another daughter on the way. And the twins are 18 months old, I guess, 2 years old. 15 months old. So they're going to have a very full household, and he works full-time. And still is maintaining well over a 3.0 GPA, so we're very proud of him. Rebecca Elliott Martin. Elliott is a HR major from America. She transferred to us from Middle Georgia College and is a softball player. Matthew S. Van Zant. I don't think Matt is here. Matt is a pre-business major from Leesburg and is on the tennis team. And finally, last but certainly not least, Jessica Williams, who is an accounting major from Americas. Jessica was also recently inducted into Beta Gamma Sigma. The final award we have tonight is the Parker Wheeler Scholarship. And it goes to a student in business who has at least a 3.0 GPA and shows outstanding leadership capabilities. I think the fact that our recipient was just elected student government president certainly speaks to his leadership capabilities. We're very proud, not just of that Ben, but of Ben in general. He is very active in the School of Business. He's a residence hall advisor. He is truly a student that is taking full advantage of everything college has to offer, and we're very proud to re-award this scholarship to Ben Moody.
Hi, everybody. My name's John Stovall, Associate Professor of Marketing, and I'm going to give 3 awards, and they're very interconnected. So I'm going to bring them all up. Brooke Walker, John Fisher, and Jessica Albritton. I need them to get used to standing in front of people. I'm just going to tell you a quick story about all 3, in that they just competed in the regional tournament for students in free enterprise in Atlanta. And the way it works is the top 2 teams get advanced to the national tournament in Kansas City. And I look at down our group, and we're with the reigning world champions, and we're also in our group are the 3rd place of the World Championship. And of course, I'm not a math major, but that didn't look good for us. So, I tried to say, I'm sure you'll win, just give it all you got. And they did. They did better than I could imagine. They did a great job. I was very proud of them, but we were against the reigning world champions and, another top 10 team. And so I patted him on the back and, said, great job, you did a good job. Well, when they were giving out the awards, there's a lot of shuffling. Now, you got to remember, these 2 other teams, they put $100,000 a year in their programs, and we sell Chick-fil-A's. And there was a lot of sort of going back and forth, and we didn't know what was going on. And so let me just add, the year 2013 is when the regional tournament in Atlanta picked 3 champions to go to Kansas City, and our team won it. And so I just want to... And I see Alyssa. Alyssa, just stand up and just wave to the crowd. You got to get used to that also. Alyssa was a member of the team also. But the Willis Shiver Rotary Scholarship and the E.H. Kennebrew Rotary Scholarship, these 2 families have been very generous to Americus, and the Rotary Club of America has been very generous to Georgia Southwestern. And your tangible awards will be in about 2 weeks. But I'm very proud of these 3, again, Brooke Walker, John Fisher, and Jessica Albritton, for winning these scholarships.
Good evening. I'm proud to announce the winners of the Spring 2013 Randy Williams Joyner Williams Scholarship. Randy was a student here at Georgia Southwestern, and he was robbed and killed while working to go to school. Joanna Williams, she died of domestic violence. So we try to remember their names and remember them through this scholarship. This scholarship is funded by the Faculty and Learning Support. And sometimes people look at learning support in a way that they say students are not ready. But it's not where you start, is where you finish. And these people were trying very hard to get their education. So we have 2 scholarships that we are going to give. These students are great students. They strive to do their best, and they are making it. And another thing, we do not give scholarships away to people who don't make it. Every Randy Williams scholarship and Joanna Williams scholarship recipient have graduated and moved on. Our first award winner, Daniel Eric Holt. He's a sophomore. Daniel is a sophomore majoring in dramatic arts with an emphasis in theater, communication, and media specialist.
Thank you.
Our second recipient is Abby Musa. Abby is a junior majoring in political science.
Program area of special education would like to recognize outstanding academic and professional growth and disposition. We'd like to recognize Haley Knight. Not only is Haley Knight a fabulous student, but she's also a second-team all-conference softball player. So she's first team all-conference special education future teacher, but second-team softball. Haley, congratulations.
I'm Lynn Larsen, and I have the pleasure of teaching in the School of Education in middle grades education. And you know, I was a middle grade educator for a number of years, taught 8th grade science, and absolutely loved it. And I know that it takes a special student to teach middle grade education students. They're the hard years, and we need special people out there working with them, making them feel loved and that they can succeed. And succeed is what the 2 nominees or the 2 award winners that I'm going to announce have done for us in the School of Education. They've gone above and beyond the call of duty. They've made that difference in the lives of the students that they are currently working with in education as they student teach. And you know what? They're witty, and they're fun, and they're smart, and they're dedicated to the cause of educating students in the 4th through the 8th grade. So our outstanding students in middle grade education in the areas of language arts and social studies is Kristen Friel, and in the areas of science and social studies is Chancey Glover. And they are in their last 2 days of student teaching and are, I'm thinking, putting some finishing touches on some presentations for Friday, and we will present these awards to them at that time.
Well, if you haven't had enough inspiration this evening, we also have a speaker that I have the honor to introduce to you this evening. We're very pleased to have Dr. Phil Smedra to talk to us about internationalization in education. And I need to tell you, Professor Smedra is a professor of economics, and he is also our GSW's Outstanding Scholar Award recipient. So he's been recognized for his excellence as well. It's very fitting for him to be speaking with us this evening. His primary research interests are in agriculture and economics and in public health, and he's well published in these areas. But in addition, Dr. Smedra has traveled and lived and taught and worked all over the world. And so I know that internationalization is a topic that's really important to him. And I know that we're all eager to hear what he has to say about this. Dr. Smedra's taught in countries such as China and Bulgaria and Argentina and Fiji, and to be a little less exotic, and France. So he's truly made it around the globe. And I'm very pleased to introduce him as our honors convocation speaker. Please welcome Dr. Smedra.
Excuse me. Well, thank you, Helen. And it's a pleasure to be here among the best students at GSW. One of the first things that I look at every day when I go into my office, and that I've looked at since graduate school, which is now 30-something years ago, is a quote from Thomas Jefferson to his children. And I just want to read the quote. Determine never to be idle. No person will have occasion to complain of want of time who never loses any. It is a wonderful thing how much may be done if we are always doing. And so I look at that, and that kind of inspires me, and since it's inspired me for the past 30 years. But thinking about, the group that I'm about to speak to, or am speaking to, you folks are, you understand the value of work. And, that quote is to emphasize the importance of not wasting time and working in order to move the world ahead just a bit. What you don't understand, students, is where you fit in the world. And so that's kind of what I'd like to talk about. My remarks are only going to be just a few minutes, but where in fact you fit in the world. What I'd like to talk about is how to find a place in the world, how to be a doer and not a spectator, and that's awfully important, especially people that are gifted. You folks are in the upper percentiles, and you folks are the people that are going to be moving the world in your different disciplines. And so we are all counting on you to be doers and not spectators. Most of the world, unfortunately, they pass the time as spectators, but you folks need to be doers. So what you need to understand is how to be in the world and to live a life that is at the twilight of your life you'll be proud of. That's the challenge that we all have. And how to do that? Well, my own opinion is to internationalize yourself. And the easiest way to do that is to travel. And first off, sometimes it's difficult from someone from a small town or a rural region of a state to get on an airplane and go to China, because China is totally different than the United States. But it's very easy to pack up your Chevrolet Cavalier and get up on I-20 and just go west, which unfortunately not a lot of people that I've come in contact with have done. It's important to see the beauty, the majesty of this country, to make you understand what it is to be an American. So, and it's something I did 30-something years ago. I packed up my Volkswagen, my 1973 Volkswagen with a tent in the back, quit my job. Of course, I'm not quite sure what I was doing then. It wasn't anything important. Quit my job and headed west because I'd always wanted to go to Yellowstone and Yosemite and the Grand Canyon, for goodness sake. I'd never seen the Grand Canyon. And so I did. I headed west through Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and the Badlands, and Mount Rushmore, and Glacier National Park up in Montana. If you've never been on Going to the Sun Road, it's a place that you ought to visit. This road that was hacked out in the 1930s by the WPA, men being paid just to dig holes. And they were paid to slash this road in the side of a mountain to climb up into the sky, going to the sun. It's spectacular. And then I came down through Yellowstone and Bryce Canyon in Utah and Zion in Utah and the Grand Canyon. And we've all seen pictures of the Grand Canyon. But you actually have to stand on the south rim of the Grand Canyon. It doesn't matter whether the sun is coming up or the sun is going down. Just stand on the south rim and you can appreciate the grandeur, the majesty of the United States. That's one thing, a very easy thing to do, to domesticize yourself rather than internationalize yourself. You're actually going to have to get on an airplane or venture down into Mexico to internationalize yourself. So travel on your own, ideally not with a family, which is why it's important to travel when you're young, because most people start thinking about families and children in their 20s. It's very, very important to get out there by yourself or with a friend, and hopefully a friend of the same sex, because if there are a male and a female, there's all kinds of other things going on, always. So, buddies, friends, your best friend, or by yourself, ideally, and just discover America. So don't take your family, of course. If you have a family, it's going to be difficult to kind of escape. You're going to have to lock everybody in the closet. Which is what I tell some non-traditional students to do and come along on a study abroad. They leave cats by themselves, don't they? There are little devices that will feed and water cats for a particular period of time. I think that on the internet you can find something similar for children. No, I'm just being facetious. Once you got kids, you're stuck for about 20 years. So travel before that happens. So do it domestically, and if you can't do it domestically, or if you're ready to go on a trip overseas, then get off the beaten path. Don't go, well, the first time you go, it's okay to see the Eiffel Tower or the Parliament, Big Ben, the Parliament buildings in London, or the bridge over the river Pest in Budapest. But once you've done that, it's very, very important to get off the beaten path. Go to places where people live. See how people are experiencing their world, because these folks are they're your co-travelers. They're your colleagues in life. They're your compatriots from now until you leave this orb. And so it's important to see how people are living, which is what I do when I travel. Everybody experiences the world in different ways. I think it's very important. It's very important to stay away from touristy places. People need the beach, but you can go to a beach without any kind of development. You can go to very pristine beaches. You can go to cities that are not geared toward tourism, and I recommend that completely. Go out and see what people are living like. Join the Peace Corps. And if you're interested in the Peace Corps, please come and see me. I was a volunteer in Morocco for 2 years. And that was the first time that I'd ever been on an airplane and gone over an ocean. And I was 40 years old. And you talk to returned Peace Corps volunteers, and they all will say, all of them, all 160,000 people that have been in the Peace Corps since its inception in 1962, that it changed their lives. And in fact, did change my life. You don't have to be as drastic as joining the Peace Corps, but do something totally unexpected. Experience the world and have a life-transforming experience. Peace Corps is a very easy way to do that. The government pays you to have a life-transforming experience. Learn a foreign language. That would be something that would be an entree into a different culture. Spanish would be a good language to learn because we are enveloped by Spanish-speaking countries. all of South America except for Brazil, all of Central America. So it would be a beneficial language to learn. But learn any other language, and you have, again, an entree into a totally different culture. So immerse yourself in a different culture, and the best way to do that is through learning a language. And when you're in your 20s, you're a little bit old. It might be difficult to become very proficient, but you don't need to be proficient. You don't need to be fluent in a language. All you need is the basic niceties of interchange between people. And when you do in fact travel, you find that if you make the effort to speak someone else's language, that they're very, very appreciative of it and will welcome you. And you find that regardless of where you travel, as long as there's not a war going on, in places where even we have kind of tenuous relations with, people are more than warm. They're very, very outgoing, very happy to meet you and talk with you, and everybody wants to practice their English. Because the entire world, you're very lucky. We're very lucky in the United States because everybody in the world wants to learn English. So when I go to China, and I've been fortunate enough to been 6 times now, I don't need to speak Chinese. I would like to speak Chinese, and eventually I will be able to carry on a conversation, but everybody wants to speak English. That's what all young people want to do. That's their objective. So learning a language builds an appreciation for a different way of thought, for different customs, for different mores. Or you could teach English in China. And you don't have to be an education major. The Chinese government, there are many schools, international schools, that are looking for native English speakers. And all of you qualify as native English speakers. And if you want to go to China and live there for a year or two, and I recommend it, it's seeing abounding economic growth. It is just something to behold. Shanghai and Beijing and in some of the other cities that I've been, it's amazing at the growth of the Chinese economy and at the warmth of the people. The government of China and the United States, we have our disagreements, but the people of China are tremendously warm to Americans. So if you ever get a chance, or if you really are determined to travel someplace exotic, teach English in China. So once all of that happens, once you've internationalized yourself, you will probably come back to the United States. Some people don't. There are 3 million Americans that live overseas, many of them permanently. We're not talking about the military now. 3 million expatriates that live overseas, teaching or retired, because they enjoy that experience. But assuming that you come back, you will in fact return clear-eyed, and you'll be on the path to the person that you've wanted to become. All of you have aspirations about who you're going to be. Once you return from this kind of an experience, during that experience, you know exactly who you are. You develop this understanding of yourself. You become self-reliant. So once you come back, you're on this path to self-enlightenment. So once you do in fact come back, you'll be better prepared to deal with the vagaries of life, better prepared to choose a career path that will both tax and fulfill you, which is important, especially you folks that are smart. Not everybody is smart. You folks have a gift, and you absolutely need to use that gift in a good way to benefit yourself and to benefit society. That's what that gift is for. You'll be better prepared to give the world your talents because you'll have discovered what those talents are once you're someplace else. Your compassion because you'll have encountered it every day living in a different world. And your understanding because you have been in the world and not simply been a spectator. So to all your folks who are either leaving now or will leave in a year or two, bon voyage and bon chance. Good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Smedra. I should say Dr. Smedra is not only an economist and a comedian, he's also a distance runner. And not only has he traveled around the world, but in some ways he has run around the world. So again, Phil, thank you very much. At this time, it's my privilege to present our GSW Outstanding Graduate for 2013, Mr. Logan Richard Hanley. But before I make the award presentation, I'm going to ask his advisor, Professor Mickey Guest of our amazing School of Nursing, to tell us a little bit about why Mr. Hanley has deserved this award. Professor Guest.
Hello. I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity and privilege of serving as Logan's academic advisor. However, I cannot take much credit for his success because he is just an extremely bright individual. He always came prepared for every one of our academic advising sessions. We always would have to meet with them for pre-registration advisement every semester. And I can remember looking at my schedule of students who were coming in that day. Oh, great, Logan, 11 o'clock, I get a break. Because I always knew he was going to know what to do and what was coming next and what to register for. So he also has been a very active student here at GSW. I want to just tell you a few of the things that he has participated in. However, first of all, his career here at GSW began as a high school student. He took AP classes here his senior year of high school, so that's very outstanding. He is a member of our honors program. He was inducted his freshman year into Alpha Lambda Delta. He has been a member of GSWANS, which is the Georgia Southwestern Association of Nursing Students. He has served as a tutor for many students. He served in the areas of pharmacology, nursing of adult health, pathophysiology, and nursing of the family. And he's very capable of tutoring in any of our nursing classes. He actually has a 4.0, and let me remind you again, this is nursing, so 4.0 all the way through his college career. He has volunteered as a student from GSW as a chaperone for a local church's youth retreats that they had very often. He also has served as his class representative for the academic years of 2011 through 12 and 2012-13. So he would sit in on our faculty meetings and bring, he was the problem person. The students could go to Logan and say, hey, Logan, go tell them about this. So he always came prepared to share things and the needs of the students at our faculty meetings. He has participated in the concert choir. And lastly, I would like to mention that next Tuesday night he will be inducted into Sigma Theta Tau, which is the International Honor Society for Nursing. But aside from his academic abilities, remember 4.0 GPA, nursing school, so not something that we see very often, so don't forget that. But aside from that, he is a very dynamic individual. He is warm and compassionate. He just has a very sweet spirit about him, and he's always a pleasure to talk with. He's very humble and just a pleasure to be around. I know to say that he is going to be a wonderful nursing into any area that he's going would be an understatement, just saying that he's going to be a wonderful nurse. So we just are very proud of you at the School of Nursing. On behalf of everyone, the faculty and staff there, we wish you much success, and we know that you'll be great.
This is a special Senate resolution that is adopted every year to recognize the outstanding students in all of the university system's schools here in Georgia. I have, first of all, a letter to Logan, which begins, congratulations on having been selected as one of 31 students in the university system of Georgia to be honored by the Georgia General Assembly during its 2013 Academic Recognition Day. You have been chosen as the one individual who best represents the highest scholastic ideals of Georgia Southwestern State University. And by the way, the 31 students reflects the fact that there are now only 31 schools in the system. If you follow the news, you know that last year 8 of those schools were consolidated. So what was 35 last year is now 31. So the award is even more special, Mr. Hammond. What I have here then is the resolution from the Georgia State Senate. A lot of whereases. Whereas Georgia Southwestern State University is the best university in the system. Not really. But it should say that. Seriously, whereas Logan Richard Handley, a scholar from Georgia Southwestern State University, represents excellence in academic achievement and personal development. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that University System of Georgia outstanding scholar Logan Richard Handley is commended for superb achievements in education and for being selected as a representative of Georgia Southwestern State University on the occasion of Academic Recognition Day for 2013. And this is Senate Resolution 315, adopted in the Senate February the 22nd, 2013, signed by the President of the Senate, President Pro Tem, Secretary of the Senate, and the Senator from Senator District 46. So again, a special honor for a special person. Congratulations, Mr. Hanley. Now, an extra special privilege is the privilege of bringing this occasion to a close. So, again, without further ado, congratulations again to all of you who were honored here tonight. You're special, and you will continue to be special. You represent us well, you make us proud, and we're pleased to have this opportunity every year to recognize your accomplishments. So, again, with that, let me say congratulations and good evening to all of you.